well as a lot more community resources available, I would say. Okay? So my husband is just passing out a handout that I just put together, just something that you could take with you. There are resources on there with links that you can access whenever you have time, as well as references of where I got the information. And this is all public information that you can get yourself. What I find a lot, or what I have found a lot in my experience, is that the resources are there, we just don't utilize them. We don't grab them, we don't call. A lot of the families that I've worked with, I will give them the resource, I will schedule an appointment, and they won't show up. And I don't know why. And then when following up with them, oh, it was this, or oh, it was that. There was an excuse. But the resources are there and they are available for families. You just have to access them. Just as Mr. Ryan mentioned, there are a lot of resources. You just have to ask. That's all you have to do. Okay? So I'm gonna go through the handout that I created because that's just how I roll. So what is mental health? Simply put, mental health is the social, psychological, and emotional well-being that impacts how we think, how we act, and how we feel. Now, mental health is different than mental illness, and a lot of times they're used interchangeably, and in my opinion, that is also why there has been such a stigma around it. So when you have a mental illness, it's a diagnosis. The diagnosis has to meet criteria that is in the DSM, the Diagnostic Statistical Manual. If you don't meet the criteria in the DSM, it's not a mental illness, it's not a diagnosis. Mental health, everyone experiences mental health symptoms, issues, disorders, stress, relationship issues, peer pressure, social issues. These are things that we go through on a daily basis. If you're experiencing them for a prolonged period of time, that can be a mental health disorder. Those are symptoms of depression or symptoms of anxiety. It doesn't mean that you have major depressive disorder. It doesn't mean that you have generalized anxiety disorder. If you have a habit of washing your hands every hour because you were doing something, that doesn't mean you have obsessive compulsive disorder. These are just symptoms of your behavior. Does that make sense? Okay, so moving on a little bit. So factors influencing our mental health. So some individual factors: genetic, biological, substance use, and emotional skills. A lot of times, mental illness, it can be genetic, but it doesn't necessarily have to be. There can be someone in your family that has a mental illness. It's not necessarily passed down every single time. You can have a mental illness, like your mother can have a mental illness and you may not. Or you can have a mental illness and your mother may not. It's not necessarily genetic. There are many factors that play a part in your mental health or mental illness. Social and environmental factors. Now this is a big one, and both of the previous presenters, they spoke on this. Things in your environment: peer pressure, friends, your community, your neighborhood, trauma, violence, these things that you experience on a regular, those things impact your mental health as well. Anytime you see, like if you see an accident, if you're involved in an accident, you can start to experience PTSD symptoms because of that. And that can impact you at school, that can impact you at work, that can impact your relationship. It can impact a whole bunch of different things, and so you have to pay attention to that. The fan is making my mouth dry. Sorry. let me move out of that. Oh. Sorry. Also, mind-body connection. Interaction between physical health and mental processes. So, your physical health impacts you as well. So a lot of times you'll hear your doctor say, like, eat vegetables and drink your water and make sure you have milk and the 5 food groups. All of that actually impacts your mental health as well. If you're not getting enough sleep, if you're not getting enough food, your brain isn't even processing what you're supposed to do next. You're not focused, you're not on schedule, you're not on task. All of that impacts you in a way where your behavior starts to change. And we're not even realizing it. That's why it's so important for you to make sure you have breakfast. Make sure you're eating your vegetables. Make sure you're drinking water. I know a lot of young adults who do not like to drink water. And I don't know why that is. Everyone wants, thank you. Thank you so much. Okay. All right, thank you. All right, so some of the most common mental health disorders that we see. Depression, at the top of the list. Anxiety, bipolar 1 and 2, schizophrenia, psychosis, eating disorders, panic disorder, OCD, PTSD, and phobias. Depression, anxiety, and eating disorders are most common among adolescents and teens, mainly because of peer pressure and social acceptance, not fitting in, not being part of the crowd. Social media creates a lot of these mental health symptoms in our adolescents and our teens. And so we definitely want to make sure that we are paying attention to some of the risk factors and some of the behaviors that we start to notice. Like with the young man right here, he noticed a change in one of his classmates, how she was trying to fit in. Paying attention to these behaviors will make a huge difference for one of these kids or youth or a teenager. For example, if your child or friend is isolating, leaving you on red when you text them, if they are not answering calls, missing practice, getting to school late or missing school, if their grades are dropping, if they are withdrawing from clubs or groups, if they no longer are interested in previous activities that they used to enjoy doing, like if it's a dance or basketball, they don't want to do it anymore. If there's a change in their friendships, they're starting to hang out with different type of friends, pay attention to that. If they are talking back, having an attitude, and you don't know why, if they're shutting down, if you start to notice marks on their body, or if they start to change their clothes, wearing a sweater and it's 103 degrees outside, they're covering something up. So we definitely want to, as parents, be nosy. We have to stay curious, I would say. Ask questions. Find out who their friends are. You should have the number of at least one of their parents, at least. For the youth, ask your friends how they're doing. Invite them over. Talk to your parent or a trusted adult about it so that you can get some help, because as youth and as kids, you don't always have the power or the resources to get things done. You may need an adult assistance to help a friend in need. Okay? A lot of times when you see changes in these behaviors, you also gotta ask, what else is going on? I have worked in a lot of different settings. One of the settings that I worked in was a co-occurring dual diagnosis treatment facility. So all of our kids were struggling with both mental health disorder and a substance abuse disorder. A lot of times, their substance use disorder started because of a mental health issue. So they were feeling anxious. They were feeling depressed. They were seeing things that they couldn't explain that no one else was seeing. So early onset psychosis. So then they were trying to self-medicate. So they're drinking alcohol. They're smoking weed. They're drinking lean. They're popping Percocets and Mollies. They're taking all of this, trying to self-medicate to get rid of whatever feeling it is that they were experiencing. And now, they're abusing the drug. Once they abuse it, then they're dependent on it. Now they need treatment. When initially, all of that could have been avoided if they got help for the mental health disorder. And so, being aware of some of the symptoms that start at the beginning can avoid additional treatment situations and issues.
Get one for
Does anybody have any questions so far? I feel like I'm giving a lot of information.
I've never heard of bipolar being one disorder. Can you just briefly go over that?
Yes. So, how can I explain? So it's really just different criteria for bipolar 1 and 2. So with bipolar 1, they're both mood disorders. And so criteria is maybe like seven items on the list for bipolar 1. Bipolar 2 is all 7 with additional 2, I believe. I have to go back and double check, but most people that I have worked with have been diagnosed with bipolar 1. Hasn't been bipolar 2. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah?
Eating disorders and mental issues.
I don't see. Oh, I'm sorry. Hi. Can you say it again?
Eating disorders like mental issues. How does eating disorder align with mental issues?
Yeah. So great question. So eating disorders is, let's say it's an umbrella, right? There are a lot of disorders that fall under eating disorder. And so one of the main ones, you have anorexia, where they're not eating. They're restricting food. Next one would be bulimia, where they are throwing up the food. Binge eating, where they'll eat a whole bunch of food in a short amount of time, and then maybe they'll purge. Sometimes you purge, sometimes you don't. That could be a subtype. When you're looking at eating disorders, they are stemming from, or they could stem from, a distorted body image, or what you think your body should look like, or what you think is going on with this food and how it impacts your body. So for example, I was working with a 15-year-old girl who would binge eat. Mind you, the 15-year-old girl was about 98 pounds. Would eat, go in the bathroom, throw up. She was binge eating disorder, purging type. In her mind, She would enjoy the food, she would eat it because she wanted it, but then she had to throw it up so that she didn't consume the calories so that she could fit into her volleyball outfit or uniform. She could fit into it. It was too big for her. But in her mind, she had to throw up the food because she needed to fit into that uniform. So her distorted thinking is what needed to be changed. That is what we had to work on and where her evidence was. And that's what we were trying to correct. Why she felt like this. What made her think that? Was it always an issue for her? Who put these thoughts in her head? Was her mom very critical of her? Yes, growing up. Was her mom controlling of her appearance when she left the house? Yes. Making sure her hair was in place, making sure her clothes were clean, making sure everything was tidy. She had this image in her head that things had to be a certain way. So she had a distorted thought process which led to her binge eating disorder, to vomit the food. And eating disorders are very similar to addiction because they can experience eating disorder, they can go through treatment, and their symptoms can be stable for a while, and then they can kick right in again. Eating disorders are prolonged. Those can last for a very, very long time.